Everyone. I want to tell you a story from the Talmud, from the Gemara. I wanted to bring the original story, but I saw the English words, and you prefer me to just tell you the story rather than trying to read these words in English. I promise you. I tried it before, just believe me. So anyway, there's discussion in the Gemara in Ta'anit. Discussion between Rabbi Yochanan and Rav Nachman. They're eating together, they're discussing some issues, and then Rav Nachman says something very interesting. He says, Yaakov Avinu lo met, didn't die. Now in our Parshat this week, we read very specifically how Yaakov blessing his kids and dying after that. And they bury him, and he also asks Yosef, promise me that you will take my bones to Me'arat HaMachpelah. Like we know the story. So Rav Nachman asked him, wow, how come you saying that Yaakov Avinu didn't die? We read it specifically. And he gave him an answer from a verse that I'm going to mention in a second. But the reason, the sages explain, what's the reason he even thought to say that? So he said, we have 3 descriptions in the Torah of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov dying. In each one of them, they're separate verses, but they all have some verbs, and Yaakov Avinu is missing one of the verbs, and this is why he's even say that. So about Avraham, it says when he's dying, Vayikva vayamot Avraham b'seiva tova, zaken v'saveh vayasef el amav. So he said, and Avraham expired and died at a good old age, and he was gathered to his people. So we have expired, died, and gathered. That's Avraham. And then on Yitzchak it says, Vayikva Yitzchak, vayamot vayasef el amav. Or in English, and Isaac expired and died, and he was gathered to his people. Again, expired, died, and gathered. But when we come to Yaakov, this week's Parsha, it says, Vayechal Yaakov letzavot epanav. He's done talking to his kids. Vayesof aglav el hamita, vayikva, vayasef el amav. Or in English, he drew his feet onto the bed. He expired and was gathered to his people. We're missing one verb. The verb is died. The Torah doesn't tell specifically that Yaakov died. So Rav Nachman takes that and say, that's the proof that Yaakov is still alive. And the verse that he brings is from Yirmiyahu, Jeremiah. He's bringing a verse that speaks about how as long as the descendants of Yaakov, Zera Yaakov, the seed of Yaakov will be alive, so too Yaakov will be alive. And it's very interesting because I had a rabbi in the yeshiva that told me some stories in the Gemara, you need to be a fool to believe them, but you need to be also like kofer, what's the word for kofer in English? That, in order to not believe them. Like it's like a delicate balance between we need to believe that this thing, like they meant what they meant, but what we really need to learn from that. And I think, like, the point here, I don't think Rav Nachman really thinks Yaakov didn't die. Like, we have Me'arat HaMachpelah, we know his grave is over there, but what does it really mean? So we connect that to the verse that says, as long as his Zera Yaakov is high, as long as the seed of Yaakov, the descendants of Yaakov are living, he too living. Of course, I don't know if it's of course, but the meaning is his spirit. Like, the Ruach of Yaakov, the nation of Yaakov is alive as long as his Zera is high. I think one beautiful example for that, connected to Asara B'Tevet that we're going to mention tomorrow. So the state of Israel decided that Asara B'Tevet, beside of the fact that it's a fast day, that we remember the beginning of the Matzor on Yerushalayim, like when they captured them, but still didn't enter to the walls. So they decided to mention it also as Yom HaKaddish HaKlali, like the general Kaddish day. This is when you say Kaddish on anyone you don't know where or when he died. The majority, of course, is in the Holocaust. There is so many people, we don't really know when exactly the date they were murdered or where exactly that. So that's the day. Anyone, or not only in the Holocaust, like wars or whatever. Anyone we don't know a date to say, that's the day, that's the place we need and can go to say the Kaddish in that day. We say that on Asara B'Tevet. And I think that's a good example, small but good example of how, even though we are the one that's still alive. We are like Zera Yaakov, the descendants of Yaakov. We're here, but we're taking, again, only one example of like connected to all of those here before. We don't know when they passed away. We're still not giving away that connection. We're still trying to think what the best way to mention them and give them that respect of Yom HaKaddish. So if you heard or know, or someone that no one really knows when he passed away, no one really is sure like when their yortzeit, tomorrow is the day that the state of Israel decided to dedicate for that. So know that for tomorrow. How that